Victoria smiled at me with that patronizing look and announced, "Eleanor, we've converted your little room into my walk-in closet since you barely use it anyway while standing in the foyer of the $1.2 million Victorian mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, that I had purchased under an LLC and secretly owned for the past 8 years," casually dismissing the woman whose real estate empire included 43 rental properties across Fairfield County, whose property development company had built half the luxury homes in her exclusive neighborhood, and whose investment decisions controlled the very construction permits and zoning approvals that would determine whether her precious interior design business could operate legally in residential areas. All because the ambitious 32-year-old interior designer who assumed her elderly mother-in-law was just another helpless widow living on Social Security and dependent on family charity, never bothered to ask why property taxes on their dream home were mysteriously handled by the management company, why their homeowner's insurance never required personal payment, or why their renovation permits were approved instantly despite regulations that typically required months of review and thousands in fees, never realizing that the simple retired art teacher they had relegated to a converted bedroom was actually Eleanor Catherine Thornfield, former CEO of Thornfield and Associates Property Development, whose $47 million portfolio and 35 years of commercial real estate expertise had been quietly ensuring that ungrateful family members lived in luxury while treating the elderly woman whose generosity created their opportunities like an unwelcome houseguest in her own property. Before we dive into this incredible story of family disrespect meeting property ownership reality and the real estate empire my ungrateful family never knew existed, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment telling me about your worst experience with family members who took your generosity for granted while treating you like a burden, and subscribe so you never miss stories like this one about what happens when entitled family members assume elderly relatives are helpless dependents, only to discover just how catastrophically wrong they can be when family disrespect meets the kind of property authority that could transform their comfortable lifestyle into a harsh lesson about gratitude and the true meaning of respecting your elders. My name is Eleanor Catherine Thornfield, I'm 74 years old, and this story begins on September 15, 2023. When I returned from my weekly visit to my property management office to discover that my daughter-in-law Victoria had made what she considered a simple home improvement decision that would reveal her true character and teach her the most expensive lesson about dismissing elderly relatives whose quiet real estate expertise had been ensuring that promising young families maintained luxury home ownership, seamless property management, and the kind of anonymous financial backing that determined whether ambitious interior designers could afford prestigious Greenwich addresses or spend their evenings calculating rent payments that could destroy their carefully constructed upper-class lifestyle. To understand how my daughter-in-law Victoria Marie Ashford Thornfield, a 32-year-old interior designer running Ashford Interiors and earning $78,000 annually while living in a property worth $4.20 million in one of Connecticut's most exclusive neighborhoods, ended up watching her comfortable lifestyle disappear through legitimate property ownership protocols within 48 hours of turning her elderly mother-in-law's bedroom into a closet. You need to know who I was before my carefully maintained image as a simple retired art teacher living on a modest pension concealed the commercial real estate expertise and property ownership authority that had elevated me from junior administrative assistant in 1971 to chief executive officer of Thornfield and Associates, a position that required overseeing $2.8 billion in annual property development and creating the residential investment network that determined housing accessibility for over 150 families throughout southwestern Connecticut and Westchester County. For 47 extraordinary years, I was Eleanor Thornfield, dedicated property development professional at one of New England's most innovative real estate firms, starting as an entry-level clerk when commercial zoning was still managed through paper filing systems and advancing through every level of corporate responsibility until my retirement in 2018 as chief executive officer with authorization over luxury property acquisitions. family housing coordination, and residential development. Systems that most people never understand or appreciate. My career had encompassed every aspect of property management. From basic rental coordination to complex multi-generational family housing planning that determined whether promising families maintained their suburban comfort across decades, whether young professionals received appropriate property support, and whether the next generation of successful families achieved the residential stability and homeownership excellence that distinguished lasting prosperity from temporary financial positioning and property management failure. The scope of my real estate responsibilities had grown to encompass managing development projects for 67 families across 12 municipalities, coordinating with federal housing authorities who required accurate documentation for zoning compliance, implementing support protocols that balanced family needs with accountability requirements, designing property assistance systems that synchronize development between investment firms, municipal agencies, and private trusts, and troubleshooting ownership complications that could affect everything from individual family success to multi-generational property development that influenced real estate markets and family residential excellence throughout the southwestern Connecticut investment community. During my 4 decades of distinguished real estate service, I had personally overseen property development for over $890 million in family residential projects, supervised coordination between 89 different banks and development institutions across 2 states, collaborated with municipal planning officials who required accurate regional data for zoning analysis, and managed property support protocols during housing market crises that required immediate coordination between development companies, municipal agencies, and private investment firms to ensure family stability while maintaining market integrity and privacy protections that balanced property access with investment optimization and municipal compliance requirements. The transformation that I had witnessed and managed during my career was extraordinary, from manual property documentation systems in traditional municipal filing cabinets to sophisticated encrypted platforms that could instantly verify ownership, eligibility, zoning status, permit verification, and development availability across global networks that connected individual family property support to international real estate investment systems. I had been personally responsible for training over 127 property professionals in development administration protocols, municipal compliance procedures, and investment management techniques that required both advanced real estate expertise and deep understanding of property law, municipal zoning regulations, and constitutional privacy protections. My position as Chief Executive Officer meant that I possessed what was essentially master-level access to the Southern Connecticut Property Development Network. The ability to classify ownership eligibility, coordinate multi-institution development, distribution, implement emergency property support protocols, and evaluate beneficiary conduct that could instantly transform someone's housing status from guaranteed ownership to comprehensive property review requiring extensive character evaluation and municipal compliance verification to complete through proper development channels and documentation processes. But perhaps the most significant aspect of my property career was my role in developing and implementing the automated development administration protocols that determined how investment funding flowed between private portfolios, municipal housing systems, zoning verification networks, and family support coordination. I had personally written distribution specifications that guided property management for dozens of Connecticut's most successful families, established coordination procedures between developers and municipal housing authorities, and created evaluation protocols that ensured consistent, appropriate investment distribution across residential programs that served both individual family needs and community development excellence requirements. The development infrastructure that I had helped design and implement served as the model for regional property management, with housing authorities in other states consulting our protocols for guidance on investment management, family coordination, and compliance implementation that balanced beneficiary expectations with community development optimization. My expertise had been featured in real estate industry publications and consulted by development firms throughout New England who wanted to implement similar property administration systems and automated protocols that served both individual, family needs and multi-generational wealth management monitoring requirements. Victoria's comfortable life in her luxurious Greenwich home, which she considered evidence of my son Richard's architectural success and her own design business acumen, was actually supported by the kind of seamless property development and residential administration that I had been creating and maintaining throughout my entire career. The perfect mortgage coordination that ensured her family maintained excellent equity positioning. The smooth zoning approvals that had helped them during their home purchase transition 4 years ago. The comprehensive homeowner support that enabled their aggressive renovation strategies. And the permit coordination that provided development optimization for their property investments all depended on the kind of sophisticated property management and development administration that required exactly the expertise I had been developing for over 4 decades. Richard Thomas Thornfield had achieved what appeared to be remarkable professional success as a senior architect at Hartford Design Associates, one of Connecticut's most prestigious architectural firms. His position was consistently ranked among the top architectural roles in the tri-state area, and his residential design skills had earned recognition from firm leadership who considered him a candidate for partner position during the next corporate restructuring. His project evaluations consistently rated him in the top 20% of architects, and his sustainable design innovations had been featured in architectural industry publications and luxury home magazines. Rough Out New England, the financial foundation that enabled Richard's suburban lifestyle success included not only his $94,000 salary and professional achievements but also the property support structure that I had carefully planned and coordinated through my real estate industry expertise. The private trust that had been established to support his homeownership provided seamless property tax coverage, comprehensive insurance coordination, and access to emergency funding facilities that enabled him to pursue expensive home improvements without compromising his personal financial security or family stability maintenance. Richard's architectural achievement reflected sophisticated property planning and strategic positioning that prepare him for homeownership in Fairfield County's most respected neighborhoods. His residential choices included experience with luxury home features, premium school districts, and community amenities that provided comprehensive lifestyle advantages in the most desirable aspects of suburban family living. His investment focus on sustainable design and property value enhancement had attracted attention from environmental architects and green building specialists seeking colleagues who understood both innovative design and long-term property investment strategies. The success of Richard's architectural practice had attracted attention from real estate developers and construction professionals who considered him a model for young architects pursuing aggressive design innovation strategies, a highly competitive specialty that could lead to firm partnership and significant wealth accumulation. His current professional trajectory included sustainable design projects worth a combined $2.3 million in contract value, with preliminary assessments indicating strong potential for green building specialization and market positioning at premium architectural investment levels. But what made Richard's architectural achievement particularly impressive was his transition from junior draftsman to senior architect, which required substantial professional preparation, sophisticated design portfolio development, and industry connections that distinguished successful architectural practitioners from failed applicants who underestimated the complexity and professional requirements of luxury residential design. His success had been supported by strategic property coordination and professional development that provided both career advancement opportunities and ongoing financial stability during the challenging years of architectural licensure and industry establishment. The Greenwich home where Richard and Victoria lived represented both his professional success and his commitment to maintaining the kind of sophisticated lifestyle that distinguished successful architectural professionals from those who compromised personal comfort for financial necessity. The beautifully appointed 5-bedroom Victorian residence featured sustainable design elements, home office spaces optimized for architectural drafting work, and the kind of comfortable living environment that enabled Richard to focus on career advancement rather than financial stress and housing complications that destroyed countless professional architectural careers. The neighborhood where Richard resided was known throughout Fairfield County as housing for successful professionals and established families who could afford premium accommodations in one of America's wealthiest communities. The monthly property costs exceeding $8,200 included mortgage, taxes, insurance, and maintenance that most architects could never manage on their salaries. But Richard had never questioned why his housing expenses were consistently processed as automatically coordinated by the property management team rather than requiring personal financial planning and monthly budget management that characterized his colleagues' homeownership experiences. Richard's professional colleagues, many of whom lived in smaller homes or continued renting to manage their substantial living expenses, had often commented on his financial freedom and ability to maintain an upscale lifestyle while pursuing architectural career advancement. The luxury vehicles that his family drove, a 2022 Tesla Model S with monthly payments of $890 and Victoria's 2021 BMW X3 with payments of $625, represented the kind of financial commitment that most architectural professionals couldn't afford without compromising their housing expenses or accumulating additional debt that extended their financial obligations well beyond their career advancement timeline. The credit cards that Richard and Victoria used for daily expenses, home improvements, and family travel never seemed to accumulate the crushing debt that characterized their colleagues' financial experiences. While his professional peers worked weekend consulting projects or took on additional design responsibilities to supplement their income, Richard maintained focus on his primary career and family time without the financial pressure that forced most architectural professionals to balance design excellence with economic survival and client acquisition stress. Richard's family lifestyle reflected the financial freedom that distinguished him from his peers, who spent evenings working additional projects or managing household budgets to avoid overspending complications. His regular activities included dining at Greenwich's finest restaurants, attending architectural conferences that weren't covered by company budgets, and maintaining the kind of professional and family lifestyle that enabled him to present himself as a successful suburban architect rather than a financially struggling design professional trying to establish credibility in Connecticut's competitive architectural market. The home amenities that Richard and Victoria enjoyed: premium appliances, luxury furnishings, professional landscaping, and entertainment systems reflected comprehensive lifestyle support that exceeded what most architectural professionals could afford on their salaries. Their home theater system, worth over $18,000 in current technology and installation, provided them with entertainment advantages that many of their peers couldn't access due to financial constraints and mortgage limitations that characterized most architectural professionals' lifestyle management. But what Richard completely failed to understand was that his comfortable lifestyle and suburban advantages weren't the result of superior architectural achievement or professional financial planning. They were the direct result of property support that I had been coordinating through my private real estate network for his entire homeownership experience. The seamless financial experiences that he considered evidence of his personal success were actually carefully orchestrated support systems that required sophisticated property management and continuous coordination between real estate institutions and development organizations. The Thornfield Family Property Trust, which I had established during the final years of my career at Thornfield and Associates, operated with an endowment of $12.4 million dedicated to supporting promising young families who demonstrated both professional potential and character integrity. The Trust's mission statement emphasized the importance of creating opportunities for young professionals to focus on their careers and family development rather than financial survival, enabling the next generation of successful families to develop the stability and prosperity necessary for community contribution and family excellence. The property selection process that had identified Richard as a trust beneficiary 6 years earlier had been based on his architectural achievements, career advancement potential, and character assessment evaluations that evaluated his potential for family leadership and community contribution. The comprehensive evaluation that qualified him for property support included recommendations from professional colleagues, community service documentation, and personal statements that demonstrated his commitment to family excellence and suburban responsibility. But perhaps most importantly, the Trust's beneficiary requirements included ongoing character assessment and demonstration of values that aligned with the Trust's mission of creating families who understood both property responsibility and family respect. The property agreement that Richard had signed, though he had never realized the true source of his housing funding, included specific provisions about maintaining character standards and demonstrating respect for family relationships and elderly obligations that distinguished responsible homeowners from those who prioritized personal advancement over family loyalty and traditional values. The Trust's monitoring protocols included annual reviews of beneficiary professional progress, character development assessment, and evaluation of how property recipients treated family relationships and elderly obligations. The comprehensive evaluation process that determined continued funding eligibility wasn't limited to professional achievement. It included assessment of whether beneficiaries maintain the kind of character and values that justified continued investment in their property ownership and family development. Richard's architectural excellence and suburban achievement had always met the Trust's professional standards, but the character assessment component of his beneficiary status had never been formally evaluated. Because family relationships and elderly obligations hadn't been tested during his intensive career focus, the Trust's protocols included specific provisions for character review when beneficiaries demonstrated behavior that conflicted with the values of family service and elderly respect that the Trust considered essential for ethical property ownership. The irony of being dismissed as a burdensome houseguest by the family members whose luxury lifestyle depended entirely on the property ownership and development support that I had been coordinating and protecting throughout their homeownership experience was not lost on me. The systematic dismissal that I had experienced during family gatherings represented exactly the kind of character evidence that justified implementing comprehensive trust review protocols and property ownership reconsideration that could transform expected support into accountability assessment and character evaluation requirements. My modest apartment in nearby Stamford, which Richard and Victoria had visited occasionally during family gatherings and considered evidence of my limited financial circumstances, actually served as the primary coordination center for Thornfield Property Holdings operations. The simple furnishings and traditional decor that they observed during their infrequent visits concealed sophisticated communication systems, encrypted internet connections, and property management infrastructure that maintained direct connectivity with development administrators at 39 real estate institutions and enabled immediate response to beneficiary emergencies or character assessment requirements that could affect property eligibility and residential security throughout southwestern Connecticut's most exclusive residential communities. The home office that appeared to casual visitors as a simple retirement workspace with basic computer equipment actually contained specialized database systems and property management hardware that provided direct access to development administration, networks, emergency funding protocols for family support, and secure connections to municipal zoning databases that required the highest levels of security clearance and professional authentication to access and maintain throughout the real estate investment community. The daily routine that Richard and Victoria occasionally observed during family visits, which they interpreted as simple retirement activities and limited social engagement, actually included coordinating property development operations that affected over 43 families, supervising emergency response protocols for zoning crises that could disrupt property ownership throughout multiple municipalities, and providing administrative consultation for municipal planning officials who relied on accurate regional data for zoning policy analysis and development coordination. September 15th had begun as what appeared to be routine coordination of family weekend plans and traditional family obligations that should have been easily managed through basic family consideration and elderly inclusion responsibility. My weekend visit to the Greenwich home had been a regular family tradition for over 4 years, with consistent scheduling that included confirmed participation and family activity coordination that represented standard family protocol and basic elderly inclusion rather than unusual burden or exceptional demand on family members. The home improvement coordination that Victoria had been managing included extensive renovation planning for their master suite, luxury bathroom upgrades, and interior design arrangements that accommodated their growing collection of high-end furnishings and professional design showcases. The renovation planning that she typically coordinated included comprehensive space utilization for the family members who lived in the home and consideration for the guest accommodations. That had always included my regular weekend visits. But what made Victoria's systematic room appropriation particularly devastating was her comfortable assumption that elderly relatives should accommodate young families' convenience through independent housing arrangements rather than expecting family inclusion during home planning decisions. The casual language that she used to dismiss my room usage, "since you barely use it anyway," revealed months of strategic thinking about family space management that prioritized convenient storage expansion over elderly accommodation and family tradition maintenance. The conversation that followed her announcement revealed Victoria's complete confidence about family relationship management and her systematic approach to elderly accommodation minimization that treated my living space as complications requiring independent resolution rather than family responsibilities deserving immediate attention and priority consideration. The comfortable dismissal that she employed demonstrated months of strategic calculation about family loyalty optimization and lifestyle advancement that justified appropriating elderly living space during important home renovation and family expansion planning. Sometimes the most expensive mistake you can make is assuming that property ownership and family housing are automatic entitlements that continue regardless of how the beneficiaries treat the elderly relatives whose generosity created their opportunities. The bedroom that Victoria converted into her personal closet space would become the documented evidence of character priorities that justified redirecting property resources and real estate funding to serve more deserving families who understood the value of both homeownership support and the elderly wisdom that created opportunities for meaningful residential security and authentic family contribution in exclusive communities that required both professional excellence and character integrity to access and maintain successfully. What my family never understood during all those years of treating me like a simple retired art teacher who needed help with basic technology and property management was that their comfortable assumption about my limited capabilities revealed their complete ignorance of the real estate empire I had built throughout the southwestern Connecticut property development community, an empire that operated so seamlessly and efficiently that its very invisibility had become its greatest strength and my family's most dangerous vulnerability. The modest Stamford apartment where I had lived for 14 years, which Richard and Victoria considered evidence of my limited financial success and outdated lifestyle choices, actually served as the primary coordination center for the Connecticut family property network, equipped with secured communication systems, encrypted internet connections, and development infrastructure that maintained 24/7 connectivity with real estate institutions throughout 12 states and enabled immediate response to property emergencies that could affect millions of dollars in family housing and residential support activities. My living room, which appeared to casual visitors as a simple retirement space with traditional furniture and family photographs, contained sophisticated database systems and property management hardware that provided direct access to the primary servers at the Thornfield Family Property Trust, backup communication protocols for emergency development coordination, and secure connections to municipal zoning databases that required the highest levels of security, clearance, and professional authentication to access and maintain throughout the regional development community. The technology setup that I had installed throughout my apartment represented over $380,000 in specialized equipment and software licensing. That enabled me to coordinate property distribution activities, respond to family emergencies, and maintain the development infrastructure that supported dozens of Connecticut families' most important homeownership goals throughout Fairfield County, Westchester County, and selected premium residential areas in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. The multiple high-resolution monitors that lined my home office walls displayed real-time status information from property databases across 12 states. Automated alert systems that notified me of zoning errors or compliance issues requiring immediate attention, and coordination interfaces that allowed me to communicate with development professionals, municipal planning officials, and trust administrators throughout the northeastern region. But beyond the physical infrastructure that supported my property coordination responsibilities, what made my home-based operations particularly powerful was the comprehensive network of professional relationships and municipal coordination protocols that I had developed throughout my 47-year career in commercial real estate and family property management. The daily phone calls that my family occasionally overheard weren't social conversations with retired colleagues, they were strategic consultations with municipal housing administrators, crisis coordination with bank development officials, and technical support for real estate institutions that processed millions of dollars in daily property distribution throughout Connecticut and surrounding states. The Thornfield Institute for Property Development Excellence, which I had established during the final years of my career at Thornfield and Associates, had become the most respected family real estate training program in the United States, providing advanced education for development coordinators, municipal compliance officials, and family property professionals who needed expertise in multi-institution development integration, zoning protocol implementation, and crisis response coordination that maintained family stability during housing emergencies and property complications. Our institute accepted only 6 participants annually through an application process more competitive than municipal administrative positions, requiring extensive experience in family property management, development administration, or trust coordination before candidates qualified for consideration. The program fee of $485.00 reflected both the specialized nature of our training and the career advancement opportunities that graduation provided for real estate professionals seeking leadership positions in municipal housing agencies, development administration, or private property organizations. The waiting list for admission to the Thornfield Institute extended over 5 years, with applications from senior administrative professionals at major real estate firms, municipal housing officials seeking advanced property management training, and development administrators responsible for trust coordination and zoning oversight throughout multiple northeastern states. We regularly declined applications from Wall Street real estate executives who lacked the specialized knowledge of family property systems and municipal development regulations that distinguished our program from general wealth management education and basic real estate training. What made our program unique wasn't just the administrative training quality, it was the municipal coordination experience and professional networking opportunities that came with graduation from the most respected family property program in North American development administration. Thornfield Institute graduates received automatic consideration for municipal housing positions that never advertised openings, gained access to our network of real estate professionals and municipal planning officials, and could leverage our consultation services to build careers in family property management that would be impossible to achieve through traditional university education and standard development administration advancement. The advanced curriculum that we provided included hands-on training in municipal property integration protocols, emergency response coordination during family housing crises, multi-institution development coordination, family property database management, and compliance implementation that protected family privacy while maintaining property access and municipal housing monitoring capabilities. Our graduates managed property databases for municipal housing agencies, coordinated trust operations for major metropolitan areas, and supervised development operations for real estate institutions that handled billions of dollars in annual family assets. But perhaps the most significant aspect of the Thornfield Institute was our role in developing and implementing the next generation of family property protocols that would determine how real estate resources were managed, secured, and coordinated between private trust organizations and municipal housing databases. The graduates from our program were leading administrative innovation at organizations like the National Association of Family Property Trusts, the American Development Management Association, and major real estate systems, implementing compliance protocols for municipal housing agencies, and coordinating development management for state property systems throughout the United States and Canada. The professional relationships that had developed through our institute included direct connections with senior executives at every major real estate firm, municipal housing officials responsible for regional property coordination, and administrative professionals who manage development systems for state governments, municipal planning offices, and family property development departments throughout North America and selected international development and programs. These relationships represented decades of professional collaboration and mutual respect that created opportunities for strategic coordination and immediate response capabilities that most property professionals could never access or afford. My daily routine, which my family observed during their infrequent visits and considered evidence of simple retirement activities and limited social engagement, actually included coordinating property development operations that affected over 2.1 million real estate records, supervising emergency response protocols for housing failures that could disrupt family stability throughout multiple states, and providing administrative consultation for municipal housing officials who relied on accurate regional data for state policy analysis and development allocation coordination. The morning schedule that began each day at 5:15 a.m. included reviewing overnight system alerts from property databases across 12 states, analyzing automated error reports that identified potential compliance issues or development integrity problems requiring immediate attention, coordinating with municipal housing databases that synchronized with our regional systems during off-peak hours, and implementing system updates that maintain compliance protocols and improve database performance for millions of family records and property transactions. The afternoon coordination activities included supervising development integration between real estate offices and municipal agencies, troubleshooting system errors that affected property allocation visibility and family application processing, coordinating with municipal housing officials who needed accurate regional data for policy analysis and development coordination, and managing crisis response protocols during natural disasters that required immediate coordination between multiple state agencies and private property organizations. The evening consultation work included providing administrative guidance for real estate professionals who encountered development errors or system integration problems, coordinating with international firms that implemented our protocols for property management systems in other countries, and conducting strategic planning with municipal housing officials who relied on our expertise for state database modernization and compliance enhancement initiatives. But beyond the administrative coordination responsibilities that occupied most of my daily schedule, What made my family property expertise particularly valuable was my comprehensive understanding of how development systems affected individual families and communities throughout the United States and Canada. Every family who received timely property distributions, every homeowner who operated efficiently, every trust grant that reached appropriate recipients, and every emergency response that coordinated effectively represented the successful implementation of systems and protocols that I had spent decades developing, refining, and maintaining. The Thornfield and Associates organization where I had spent my entire career wasn't just a regional property contractor, it was the exclusive provider of coordination services for the Federal Family Property Administration's North American Regional Integration Network, coordinating family real estate funding for over 1,800 municipal jurisdictions, 89 major metropolitan housing areas, and managing development integration with 267 different real estate offices across 12 states. Our systems processed over $6.2 billion in annual property transactions, coordinated family development for over 640 different firms and property organizations, and maintained the infrastructure that enabled platforms like municipal housing administration, private family trusts, and development networks to provide effective property management and family housing for thousands of North American families. The scope of our development management operations required coordination with the Department of Housing and Urban Development for property compliance and audit support, the Department of Treasury for family property program integration, the Internal Revenue Service for family tax compliance verification, the Federal Reserve for Municipal Development Program coordination, and the Department of Homeland Security for family housing verification and security monitoring that supported both individual privacy protection and national security requirements. My security clearance level required annual background investigations, financial audits, psychological evaluations, and professional competency assessments that ensured only the most qualified and trustworthy property professionals maintained access to systems that could affect national development programs, regional family stability, and municipal property policy development. The clearance process included polygraph examinations, extensive interviews with professional colleagues and municipal officials, and continuous monitoring that verified my continued reliability and commitment to maintaining the highest standards of professional integrity and system security. The administrative innovations that I had developed during my career included automated integration protocols that synchronized property data between real estate databases and municipal housing systems, compliance algorithms that protected family privacy while maintaining property accessibility, error detection systems that identified development irregularities before they affected family housing, and crisis response protocols that maintain system stability during equipment failures or cybersecurity incidents that could affect millions of family records and billions of dollars in property activity. These innovations had been adopted by real estate firms throughout North America, implemented by municipal housing agencies for state database modernization, and licensed to international property organizations that wanted to implement similar integration systems and compliance protocols for family development management in European Union countries, Australia, New Zealand, and Pacific Rim nations seeking to modernize their housing systems and improve development. Coordination between government agencies and private property organizations. The consulting contracts that I had negotiated with municipal housing agencies included ongoing administrative support for database modernization projects, emergency response coordination during system failures that affected multiple states, compliance assessment and enhancement for municipal property databases, and strategic planning for next-generation development technology that would improve system integration and reduce housing management costs while maintaining accuracy and security standards that protected both individual family privacy and municipal housing monitoring capabilities. But perhaps the most significant aspect of my property administration authority was my role in determining which families received priority processing and optimal development visibility throughout the North American regional family property network. The integration protocols that I had designed included automated quality assessment algorithms that evaluated property applications for appropriateness and completeness, determined development positioning based on family need and character status, and implemented enhanced allocation protocols for families who met the highest standards for community impact and character potential. This meant that families associated with my personal relatives had always received the most favorable property treatment possible, priority processing for development coordination, ANHA distribution visibility that attracted maximum housing benefit, expedited application coordination that reduced approval timeframes, and automated compliance verification that prevented administrative problems from affecting their property access or development status. The seamless homeownership experiences that Richard and Victoria had always enjoyed weren't natural consequences of architectural excellence or superior financial management. They were the direct result of property preferences and administrative advantages that I had been providing through my coordination authority and system access. Richard's comfortable life in his Greenwich home had benefited from perfect real estate services coordination, seamless property distribution processing, and enhanced development allocation that attracted maximum homeownership support because I had personally implemented distribution protocols that ensured optimal property visibility and housing accuracy. The smooth zoning approval processes that had helped him during his apartment to homeownership transition 4 years ago had benefited from expedited verification and automated compliance checking that reduced approval timeframes and prevented common administrative delays that affected most property applications. The comprehensive real estate services that enabled his suburban lifestyle reflected development coordination that I had maintained between real estate systems and municipal housing databases, preventing the service gaps and administrative complications that could have significantly affected his access to property development and homeownership support. The excellent mortgage rates that supported his home purchase, the emergency development programs that provided additional support, and the property infrastructure that supported his family lifestyle all depended on real estate coordination and development management that required exactly the kind of administrative expertise and municipal coordination that I had been providing throughout my entire career. Richard Thomas Thornfield presented himself to his professional colleagues as a self-made suburban success story, the ambitious son of a retired art teacher who had earned his way into homeownership through architectural excellence and property responsibility. His carefully constructed narrative of individual achievement and personal property management reflected the kind of bootstrap mythology that resonated with his architectural colleagues and suburban neighbors who admired his apparent financial independence and family stability. The story that Richard told about his homeownership journey emphasized his professional achievements at Hartford Design Associates, where he had advanced from junior draftsman to senior architect while maintaining consistently high client satisfaction ratings and contributing to firm growth through innovative sustainable design development. His suburban home purchase had been celebrated by colleagues and friends as evidence of his exceptional career advancement and dedication to family property excellence. During his homeownership experience, Richard had distinguished himself through property improvements that earned recognition from neighborhood associations, community involvement that demonstrated his commitment to local development, and property management that positioned his family as models of suburban success. His home renovation projects had included sustainable design implementation, energy efficiency upgrades, and landscaping improvements that increased property value and community appeal while showcasing his architectural expertise. The suburban achievements that Richard proudly displayed throughout his home-framed architectural awards, community recognition certificates, and family accomplishment photographs told the story of a dedicated family man who had earned every opportunity through professional rigor and property responsibility. his sustainable design successes, community leadership roles, and family development recognitions created a comprehensive picture of suburban achievement that justified his confident approach to family, property planning, and community engagement. But what Richard's carefully curated success narrative completely omitted was any acknowledgement of the property support system that had made his homeownership achievements possible. The trust development that had covered his $87,000 down payment, the zoning coordination that had enabled him to qualify for premium property terms, and the emergency real estate assistance that had provided stability during unexpected home maintenance expenses all remained invisible in his personal story of individual achievement and family property responsibility. The lifestyle that Richard maintained in his Greenwich neighborhood reflected property freedom that distinguished him from his professional peers who struggled with mortgage debt exceeding $450,000, worked additional consulting projects to supplement their income, and managed tight household budgets to afford suburban living expenses. Richard's ability to maintain premium home improvements, pursue expensive family activities, and invest in property enhancements without financial pressure created a comfortable buffer that enabled him to excel professionally while his colleagues balanced career demands with economic constraints. Richard's social media presence, which he maintained to network with architectural professionals and document his family progression, featured photographs of home improvement projects, family vacation experiences, and professional networking activities that reflected the lifestyle of a successful suburban architect rather than a financially struggling design professional. His LinkedIn and Facebook profiles showcased professional achievements, community involvement, and family development activities that reinforced his image as a rising star in Connecticut architectural leadership. The professional networking that Richard maintained membership in architectural associations, attendance at industry conferences, and participation in community design organizations reflected investment in his career development that exceeded what most architects could afford on their salaries. His collection of professional development resources, architectural reference materials, and industry publications represented thousands of dollars in career investment that distinguished his preparati on from colleagues who relied on company-provided resources and basic professional development to manage their career advancement. Richard's approach to community involvement included membership in neighborhood associations, volunteer activities with local organizations, and participation in family development programs that required time and financial investment beyond the basic requirements of suburban community citizenship. His additional certifications, continuing education activities, and professional networking investments reflected comprehensive family planning that assumed property stability and freedom from the economic pressures that limited his neighbors' community engagement opportunities. The confidence that Richard displayed in professional and community settings reflected his comfortable assumption that his lifestyle and opportunities were the natural result of his career achievements and property capabilities. His interactions with architectural colleagues, neighborhood leaders, and community organization members demonstrated the self-assurance of someone who had never experienced serious property insecurity or questioned the stability of his housing support system. But perhaps the most revealing aspect of Richard's character was his complete lack of curiosity about the property mechanisms that supported his comfortable lifestyle. The trust distributions that arrived without application processes, the zoning approvals that processed without personal property management complications, and the emergency development that appeared during unexpected home expenses never prompted questions about the source or sustainability of his property support system. The attitude that Richard had developed toward family relationships reflected his comfortable assumption that his success was entirely self-generated, and that elderly relatives represented obligations that interfered with his professional advancement, rather than potential sources of wisdom, support, or connection. His approach to family gatherings, holiday visits, and elderly care responsibilities demonstrated the kind of calculated relationship management that prioritized professional networking over traditional family values. Victoria Marie Ashford Thornfield had constructed an even more elaborate narrative of personal achievement and independent success, presenting herself as a modern interior designer who had built her career through strategic thinking and professional excellence while maintaining perfect work-life balance and family property management. Her carefully curated professional image emphasized her transition from entry-level design coordinator to interior design business owner while managing household responsibilities that demonstrated her capability and organizational expertise. The interior design projects that Victoria had developed through Ashford Interiors had earned recognition from design publications, client satisfaction awards, and referral opportunities that positioned her as one of Greenwich's most promising residential designers. Her client portfolio included luxury homes, high-end commercial spaces, and exclusive renovation projects that generated significant revenue and established her reputation as a strategic design professional capable of managing complex projects and client relationships. Victoria's approach to work-life balance had become a model for other working mothers in her professional network, with featured articles in design publications, speaking engagements at home improvement conferences, and mentor relationships with younger design professionals who sought her guidance about balancing career advancement with family responsibilities. Her systematic approach to time management and family coordination had earned recognition that extended beyond her immediate professional circle. The home management system that Victoria had developed for coordinating family schedules, household maintenance, and community involvement reflected sophisticated organizational skills that impressed neighbors, friends, and professional colleagues who struggled to balance similar responsibilities without her apparent efficiency and success. Her ability to maintain a pristine home, coordinate children's activities, and excel professionally created an image of superwoman capabilities that distinguished her from working mothers who made visible compromises between career and family obligations. But what made Victoria's confidence particularly problematic was her systematic dismissal of elderly relatives and her professional assessment of which family relationships deserved her time and attention. The strategic thinking that she applied to family relationship management reflected her comfortable assumption that elderly relatives represented an efficient use of time and emotional energy that could be better invested in career advancement and family development activities that contributed to her professional success and suburban lifestyle maintenance. Victoria's treatment of Richard's elderly relatives, including his mother, elderly aunts, and family friends, reflected systematic dismissal of their potential contributions to her family's success and development. Her conversations during family events focused on her design achievements and family management successes while treating elderly relatives' stories, experiences, and perspectives as irrelevant interruptions to her strategic family planning and professional advancement. The language that Victoria used to describe family obligations revealed her fundamental approach to relationship management and her systematic calculation of which connections deserved her time and attention. Her comfortable dismissal of elderly relatives as time-consuming obligations reflected months of strategic thinking about family relationship optimization that treated traditional obligations as obstacles to overcome rather than values to maintain and honor. During family gatherings at holiday celebrations, Victoria's behavior demonstrated her systematic approach to managing elderly relatives and her professional assessment of which family interactions contributed to her personal advancement. Her tendency to spend family events coordinating children's activities and discussing career developments while avoiding extended conversations with elderly family members revealed her calculated approach to relationship management and personal advancement optimization. The casual confidence that Victoria displayed when discussing her future career plans, luxury design specialization, business expansion opportunities, and eventual boutique design firm development reflected her comfortable assumption that her property support system would continue indefinitely without requiring acknowledgement, gratitude, or reciprocal family responsibility. Her long-term planning included expensive career development programs, family expansion possibilities, and lifestyle enhancement investments that assume continued property stability without any recognition of the development infrastructure that made her ambitious planning possible. Victoria's role in family property planning included responsibility for household design coordination, children's space management, and home improvement decision-making that required sophisticated organizational skills and design awareness. Her systematic approach to family space management, renovation coordination, and lifestyle planning reflected professional-level property management capabilities that impressed friends and neighbors who struggled with similar household coordination challenges. The monthly expenses that Victoria managed without apparent financial stress included children's private school tuition, premium healthcare coverage, extensive extracurricular activities, and family entertainment expenses that exceeded what most design professionals could afford on small business incomes. Her ability to coordinate expensive family activities without the financial constraints that limited her professional peers created lifestyle opportunities and family advantages that distinguished her household management from families who focused solely on basic financial survival. But what made Victoria's family management particularly ironic was her complete lack of awareness that her comfortable property position was temporary and conditional rather than permanent, and guaranteed. The development protocols that supported her family's property stability included specific provisions for character assessment and ongoing evaluation of whether beneficiaries maintain the values and behaviors that justified continued trust investment in their homeownership and family development. The property agreement that Richard had signed 4 years earlier, though neither he nor Victoria had ever understood its true source or conditions, included explicit requirements for maintaining character standards that aligned with the trust's mission of creating families who understood both property responsibility and family respect. The comprehensive evaluation process that determined continued development eligibility included assessment of how beneficiaries treated family relationships, elderly obligations, and traditional relatives who represented the values that the trust considered essential for ethical property ownership. Victoria's systematic dismissal of elderly family members and her calculated approach to family relationship management represented exactly the kind of character evidence that triggered trust review protocols and property eligibility reconsideration. The comfortable assumption that her family's property support would continue regardless of her treatment of elderly relatives revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of the values-based development system that had been supporting her family's homeownership and comfortable lifestyle throughout their suburban residence. The trust's monitoring systems, which Victoria had never discovered or investigated, included annual character assessments based on feedback from family members, community observations, and evaluation of whether property recipients demonstrated the kind of personal behavior and family values that justified continued investment in their homeownership and family development. The comprehensive evaluation process that determined development continuation wasn't limited to professional performance. It included assessment of character development, community engagement, and family relationship management that distinguished responsible property owners from those who prioritized personal advancement over traditional values and family contribution. Sometimes the most dangerous assumption you can make about property ownership and development support is that they represent permanent entitlements that continue automatically regardless of character development and family relationship management. The elderly relatives who Victoria dismissed as time-consuming obligations included the very person whose property expertise and development authority had created every homeownership opportunity and lifestyle advantage that she considered evidence of her individual achievement and family success in competitive suburban environments that required both professional excellence and character integrity to navigate successfully. The development infrastructure that had operated invisibly throughout Victoria's comfortable assumptions about her family's property independence would soon become the most visible lesson of her life about the true meaning of homeownership and The critical importance of treating elderly relatives with the respect and appreciation that their lifetime of professional service and generous support deserved, rather than dismissing them as outdated inconveniences during family gatherings and lifestyle advancement activities that prioritized individual achievement over authentic family relationships and traditional values. The world that Victoria Marie Ashford Thornfield had constructed around herself through Ashford Interiors represented the pinnacle of interior design achievement and professional confidence. A carefully curated environment where her status as one of Greenwich's most sought-after residential designers provided daily validation of her belief that success came through individual excellence and strategic career management, rather than external support or family assistance. Her position within the prestigious Connecticut interior design community had become the foundation for a professional identity that celebrated self-reliance, creative achievement, and the kind of sophisticated design expertise that distinguished elite residential professionals from ordinary home decorators. The design studio that Victoria operated from the converted carriage house behind their Greenwich home served as the creative headquarters for Ashford Interiors, a boutique firm that specialized in luxury residential projects throughout Fairfield County's most exclusive neighborhoods. The 1,200-square-foot workspace featured premium design software, professional-grade lighting systems, and an extensive library of fabric samples, color palettes, and architectural materials that reflected her commitment to providing clients with the highest level of design sophistication and project coordination. Victoria's client roster included some of Connecticut's most influential families, real estate developers, and luxury homeowners who appreciated her signature style that combined contemporary elegance with classic New England sophistication. Her portfolio encompassed projects ranging from $50,000 room renovations to $500,000 whole house transformations that had been featured in Connecticut Magazine, Architectural Digest, and prestigious home design publications throughout the Northeast. The professional recognition that Victoria had earned throughout her interior design career included multiple Connecticut Design Awards, featured presentations at the New England Home Show, and collaboration with luxury furniture manufacturers on exclusive product lines that showcased her design aesthetic and market influence. Her specialization in sustainable luxury design had attracted attention from environmentally conscious clients and green building professionals seeking comprehensive design solutions that combined aesthetic excellence with environmental responsibility. But beyond her creative achievements and client management contributions, what made Victoria's position in the Connecticut design community particularly prestigious was her selection as a featured designer for the annual Greenwich Home and Garden Tour, an exclusive showcase that accepted only 8 designers annually from across all of New England. The tour provided exposure to thousands of potential clients, networking opportunities with luxury home builders, and professional recognition that positioned selected designers for National Design Magazine features and high-profile client referrals. The Greenwich Home and Garden Tour participation that Victoria had achieved during her 4th year of business operation required submission of a comprehensive portfolio, client references from previous luxury projects, and demonstration of design innovation that met the tour's standards for creative excellence and market leadership. The selection process was managed by a committee of design industry professionals, luxury home builders, and lifestyle publication editors who evaluated candidates based on both artistic merit and business success. Victoria's comfortable assumption that her Greenwich Home and Garden Tour selection represented recognition of her individual merit and creative excellence reflected her systematic approach to career advancement and her confident belief that professional opportunities naturally flowed to deserving candidates who demonstrated superior performance and strategic design thinking. Her participation in tour planning meetings, designer showcase events, and luxury client networking activities provided career advancement opportunities and professional visibility that distinguished her from interior designers who focused solely on project execution without strategic professional development. The monthly design strategy sessions that Victoria attended as part of the Greenwich Home and Garden Tour community included presentations by luxury home builders, high-end furniture manufacturers, and design innovation leaders who shared insights about market trends, client relationship management, and the business aspects of luxury interior design that determine designer success and professional advancement. These exclusive educational opportunities provided Victoria with knowledge about design economics, client acquisition, and strategic planning that exceeded what typical interior designers learn during their creative training. The networking opportunities that accompanied Victoria's Greenwich Home and Garden Tour participation included regular interaction with Connecticut's most successful luxury home builders, visiting design leaders from prestigious firms in New York and Boston, and interior design professionals who managed million-dollar client portfolios and influenced regional design trends and aesthetic standards. The professional relationships that Victoria developed through these exclusive events created career opportunities and advancement possibilities that would have been impossible to access through standard interior design training and client management education. Victoria's home office within the Greenwich residence had become an extension of her professional networking strategy, serving as an elegant workspace for hosting design colleagues, luxury home builders, and fellow Greenwich Home and Garden Tour participants who appreciated the sophisticated environment and premium amenities that distinguished Victoria's working situation from typical interior design professional home offices. The quarterly strategic planning sessions that Victoria organized featured carefully curated participant lists, premium catering services, and technology setups that reflected her understanding of professional entertaining and relationship management. The design networking events that Victoria coordinated through her home office included monthly gatherings for Greenwich Home and Garden Tour participants, seasonal showcases for luxury furniture representatives and high-end contractors, and annual celebrations that brought together interior design professionals from across Connecticut's various luxury markets. These sophisticated professional activities required substantial financial investment in catering, premium technology equipment, and entertainment coordination that exceeded what most interior designers could afford on their business revenues. The professional wardrobe that Victoria maintained for her Greenwich Home and Garden Tour activities included designer business suits for luxury client meetings, premium professional attire for networking events and design showcases, and sophisticated casual wear for collaborative sessions and creative development meetings. Her investment in professional appearance reflected her understanding that career advancement in competitive luxury design required not only creative excellence, but also the kind of polished presentation that distinguished high-end designers from ordinary residential decorators. The continuing education activities that Victoria pursued beyond her basic design requirements included membership in multiple professional design associations, subscription to premium interior design publications, and attendance at optional conferences that provided additional training in luxury market techniques and business leadership strategies. Her professional development investments reflected comprehensive career planning that assumed continued property stability and freedom from the economic pressures that limited her peers' educational opportunities. Victoria's approach to professional relationships within the Connecticut design community demonstrated her systematic understanding of career advancement and her strategic cultivation of connections that could influence her future opportunities in luxury interior design leadership. Her interactions with established designers, luxury home builders, and design industry executives reflected careful relationship management that prioritized professional networking over casual social connections or traditional mentorship relationships that didn't contribute to strategic career development. The client acquisition projects that Victoria pursued during her design career included collaboration with luxury home builders on model home interiors, partnership with high-end furniture showrooms on display coordination, and strategic planning studies that contributed to evidence-based luxury design development. Her client satisfaction rates exceeded the typical expectations for boutique interior designers and positioned her as a candidate for expansion into commercial luxury design. That combined residential expertise with business development responsibility. But perhaps the most significant aspect of Victoria's professional confidence was her systematic approach to managing family obligations and personal relationships that she perceived as potential obstacles to her interior design career advancement. The strategic thinking that she applied to family relationship management reflected her comfortable assumption that professional success required prioritizing career development over traditional family responsibilities and elderly care obligations that didn't contribute to her strategic positioning within the competitive luxury design industry. The time management system that Victoria had developed for balancing her demanding design schedule with each professional development activities included specific protocols for minimizing family obligations and social commitments that didn't contribute to her career advancement. Her calendar management reflected systematic prioritization of client work, creative development activities, and professional networking over family gatherings, elderly care responsibilities, and traditional social obligations that might interfere with her strategic career planning. Victoria's communication patterns with family members demonstrated her strategic approach to relationship management and her calculated assessment of which family interactions deserved her time and attention. Her phone calls and text messages with relatives focused on professional updates and career achievements while avoiding discussions of family needs, elderly care responsibilities, or traditional obligations that might require her time or emotional investment that could be better utilized for client management and creative development. The financial planning that Victoria conducted for her post-expansion career included assumptions about luxury design firm growth, commercial design opportunities, and eventual design consultation business development that reflected her confident expectation of continued professional advancement and increased earning potential. Her long-term planning included expensive creative training programs, strategic business development investments, and career advancement activities that assumed property stability without any recognition of the external support system that made her ambitious planning possible. Victoria's social media presence reflected her systematic approach to professional image management and her strategic use of digital platforms to enhance her reputation within the interior design community. Her Instagram profile featured regular updates about client projects, design showcase highlights, and professional development activities that reinforced her image as a rising star in luxury design. Ellen's, her LinkedIn account showcased professional conferences, design education events, and networking activities that demonstrated her commitment to career excellence and creative advancement. The design conferences that Victoria attended beyond her basic professional requirements included national interior design meetings, specialized luxury market workshops, and business leadership seminars that provided additional credentials and networking opportunities. Her conference attendance reflected investment in professional development that exceeded typical interior designer activities and positioned her as a serious candidate for DIL industry leadership training and commercial design appointments. Victoria's membership in professional organizations included the American Society of Interior Designers, the Connecticut Interior Design Association, and the Luxury Design Council, providing access to professional resources, networking opportunities, and career development support that enhanced her professional standing within the design community. Her active participation in these organizations included committee membership, volunteer creative activities, and leadership roles that demonstrated her commitment to design professional excellence and industry contribution. The peer relationships that Victoria maintained within the Connecticut design community reflected her strategic approach to professional networking and her systematic cultivation of connections with fellow interior designers who might become future collaborators, client referral sources, or career advancement resources. Her interactions with other design professionals focused on strategic development rather than personal friendship. creating a network of design professionals who could support her long-term career objectives in creative advancement opportunities. Victoria's relationship with luxury home builders demonstrated her understanding of interior design industry hierarchy and her strategic approach to mentorship and professional guidance. Her interactions with established contractors, project managers, and construction professionals focused on learning opportunities, creative collaboration, and business advice that could influence her future project opportunities and design business advancement. The respect that she earned from construction leadership reflected her project competence and professional demeanor that distinguished her as a future leader in luxury design excellence. The creative skills that Victoria had developed during her interior design career included advanced space planning, client relationship management, contractor coordination, and luxury market techniques that positioned her as one of Connecticut's most capable designers. Her design competence, project accuracy, and client management skills earned recognition from luxury home builders and design coordinators who considered her a reliable and effective design practitioner, with exceptional potential for industry leadership. But what made Victoria's professional confidence particularly problematic was her systematic application of interior design strategy principles to family relationship management, treating elderly relatives like project complications that required efficient resolution rather than family members who deserved respect, attention, and care. The analytical thinking that served her well in creative design became a tool for optimizing family obligations and minimizing time investment in relationships that didn't contribute to her professional advancement or strategic career development. The decision-making framework that Victoria applied to family situations reflected her interior design training in priority management and resource allocation, prioritizing urgent professional demands over routine family needs and treating elderly care responsibilities as non-critical issues that could be deferred or delegated to other family members. Her systematic approach to family relationship management demonstrated how professional training could distort personal values when career advancement became the primary measure of success and importance. Victoria's comfortable assumption that family support should accommodate her interior design career demands reflected months of strategic thinking about relationship optimization and her systematic calculation that elderly relatives should understand and support her professional priorities, rather than expecting traditional family consideration and care. The confidence that she displayed about family relationship management revealed her belief that design career advancement justified treating family obligations as optional expenses, rather than essential responsibilities that deserved priority attention and emotional investment. The language that Victoria used to describe family interactions revealed her systematic approach to relationship management and her professional assessment of which family activities deserved her time and attention. Her tendency to discuss family gatherings in terms of time investment, elderly care in terms of resource allocation, and family responsibilities in terms of opportunity costs demonstrated how completely her interior design training had influenced her approach to personal relationships and family values that didn't contribute to strategic career advancement. During conversations with fellow interior designers about family obligations, Victoria often shared her philosophy about maintaining professional focus and avoiding family complications that could interfere with career advancement and creative development opportunities. Her systematic approach to family relationship management had become a topic of discussion among her design peers, with some professionals admiring her strategic thinking while others questioned whether her professional focus had compromised her understanding of family values and traditional obligations that extended beyond career considerations. The Greenwich Home and Garden Tour seminars that Victoria attended included sessions on work-life balance, professional relationship management, and creative leadership that emphasized the importance of strategic thinking and efficient resource allocation and interior design career development. The program's emphasis on optimization and strategic planning reinforced Victoria's systematic approach to relationship management and provided professional validation for her calculated assessment of family obligations and elderly care responsibilities. Victoria's quarterly performance evaluations within the Greenwich Home and Garden Tour community consistently rated her as exceptional in strategic thinking, outstanding in professional development, and superior in leadership potential, providing regular validation of her systematic approach to career advancement and relationship management. The program feedback that she received from design industry executives and luxury home builders reinforced her confidence about professional priorities and strategic family relationship optimization that prioritized career development over traditional family values. The annual review process for Greenwich Home and Garden Tour participants included evaluation of leadership skills, professional judgment, and character assessment that measured interior designers' potential for future design industry, partnership, and creative leadership responsibilities. Victoria's consistent excellent ratings in professional competence and strategic thinking provided validation of her systematic approach to career development and relationship management that prioritized professional advancement over traditional family values and elderly respect. Obligations. Richard's professional world at Hartford Design Associates provided additional validation for the family's systematic approach to career prioritization and elderly relationship management that treated traditional family obligations as obstacles to overcome rather than values to maintain and honor. His position as senior architect within one of Connecticut's most respected design firms had created a professional environment that reinforced Victoria's strategic thinking about family relationship optimization and career advancement prioritization. The architectural projects that Richard managed at Hartford Design Associates included luxury residential developments, commercial building designs, and sustainable construction initiatives that generated significant revenue and established his reputation as a strategic design professional capable of coordinating complex client relationships and project development. His project portfolio reflected sophisticated architectural expertise and strategic thinking that impressed firm leadership and positioned him as a candidate for partnership advancement and eventual firm ownership opportunities. Richard's approach to professional networking within Hartford Design Associates demonstrated his systematic understanding of career advancement and his strategic cultivation of relationships that could influence his future opportunities in architectural management. His interactions with firm executives, project coordinators, and design department leaders reflected careful relationship management that prioritized professional development over casual social connect-ins or traditional mentorship relationships that didn't contribute to strategic career advancement. The professional development activities that Richard pursued included membership in architectural associations, attendance at design conferences, and participation in sustainable building training programs that provided additional credentials and networking opportunities. His investment in career advancement reflected comprehensive professional planning that assumed continued property stability and freedom from economic pressures that might interfere with his strategic positioning within the competitive architectural industry. But what made Richard's professional confidence particularly significant was his complete alignment with Victoria's systematic approach to family relationship management and elderly care obligation minimization. The strategic thinking that both spouses applied to family interactions reflected their shared belief that professional success required prioritizing career development over traditional family responsibilities and elderly respect that didn't contribute to their strategic advancement within their respective design careers. The comfortable lifestyle that Richard and Victoria maintained in their Greenwich home reflected their systematic approach to family property management and their confident assumption that their homeownership and property stability were permanent achievements that didn't require acknowledgement or appreciation of external support systems. Their ability to coordinate expensive home improvements, family activities, and professional development investments without apparent financial stress created an environment of complete confidence about their independent success and self-generated achievements. The home entertainment system that Richard and Victoria had installed, worth over $32,000 in premium technology and professional installation, provided them with lifestyle advantages that distinguished their family environment from design professionals who manage tight household budgets and financial constraints. Their ability to host sophisticated professional networking events and family gatherings without economic limitations created opportunities for career advancement and social positioning that exceeded what most design professionals could access or afford. The children's educational planning that Victoria coordinated included private school enrollment, premium extracurricular activities, and educational enhancement programs that exceeded what most design families could afford on small business incomes. Emma and Michael's participation in expensive art lessons, academic tutoring, and competitive sports programs reflected the family's comfortable assumption that their financial resources were unlimited and permanent rather than conditional and dependent on external support systems that required appropriate appreciation and family respect. The renovation projects that Victoria had been coordinating throughout their Greenwich home represented her most ambitious professional undertaking, combining her interior design expertise with her family's personal living space to create a showcase property that would demonstrate her creative capabilities to potential luxury clients. The comprehensive redesign included kitchen modernization, master suite expansion, luxury bathroom installation, and entertainment area development that would transform their home into a design portfolio piece worth featuring in Connecticut's most prestigious home publications. The master bedroom suite renovation that Victoria had planned included converting the adjacent guest room, my former bedroom, into an expansive walk-in closet system that would accommodate her growing collection of professional wardrobe pieces, luxury accessories, and seasonal clothing coordination. The custom closet installation required premium organizing systems, professional lighting design, and luxury storage solutions that would create the kind of sophisticated personal space that had successful interior designers from ordinary residential decorators. Victoria's systematic planning for the closet conversion had proceeded for months without any consideration of my accommodation needs or family inclusion requirements. Her design documents included detailed measurements of my former bedroom, specifications for custom shelving systems, and coordination with luxury closet organizers who specialized in high-end residential storage solutions. The project timeline indicated completion within 6 weeks, with professional photography scheduled for design portfolio documentation and potential publication features. The comfortable confidence that Victoria displayed while discussing the closet conversion project revealed her systematic calculation that elderly family members should accommodate young professionals' career advancement requirements, rather than expecting traditional family consideration and space allocation. Her casual dismissal of my accommodation needs reflected months of strategic planning about family space optimization that prioritized professional presentation over elderly inclusion and family tradition maintenance. But perhaps the most revealing aspect of Victoria's approach to the closet conversion was her complete assumption that property decisions could be made unilaterally without consultation or consideration of other family members' needs and preferences. The authoritative language that she used when announcing the conversion, "We've converted your little room," revealed her fundamental belief that family space allocation was subject to her professional priorities and career advancement requirements, rather than collaborative family decision-making and elderly respect obligations. The timing of Victoria's closet conversion announcement, delivered immediately upon my return from a routine business trip, demonstrated her systematic approach to family communication that avoided discussion or negotiation in favor of accomplished facts and completed decisions. Her comfortable assumption that elderly relatives would accept space appropriation without resistance or consequences reflected her complete confidence in her ability to manage family relationships through professional presentation and strategic communication techniques. Victoria's presentation of the closet conversion as a logical space utilization improvement, since you barely use it anyway, revealed her systematic assessment of family member value. And her professional calculation of space allocation priorities that prioritize storage convenience over elderly accommodation and family relationship maintenance. The casual dismissal language that she employed demonstrated months of strategic thinking about family relationship optimization that treated elderly needs as an efficient resource allocation rather than essential family responsibilities. The design portfolio documentation that Victoria had planned for the completed closet conversion included professional photography, design specification details, and luxury client presentation materials that would showcase her space planning capabilities and custom storage expertise. Her intention to feature the conversion in her professional marketing materials revealed her systematic approach to family space appropriation that treated my former bedroom as professional advancement opportunity rather than family accommodation. Responsibility. Sometimes the most dangerous aspect of professional success is the confidence it creates about the permanence of support systems and the assumption that achievement grants authority over family relationships and property allocation decisions. The interior design career that Victoria had built through systematic professional advancement and strategic relationship optimization would soon be evaluated through criteria that measured not only creative competence but also the character, integrity, and family values that determined whether promising design professionals deserve continued support and advancement opportunities in competitive luxury markets that required both professional excellence and personal integrity to navigate successfully. The luxury closet space that Victoria had created from my bedroom would soon become the most expensive storage solution in Connecticut real estate history, teaching her the most comprehensive lesson about property ownership authority and the critical importance of respecting elderly relatives whose quiet real estate expertise had created every design opportunity and lifestyle advantage she considered evidence of individual achievement and professional success in exclusive communities that required both creative talent and character integrity to access and maintain successfully. September 15, 2023. Began as what should have been a routine return from my weekly property management coordination meeting and traditional weekend family visit, a simple homecoming that would expose the true character of the daughter-in-law, whose comfortable lifestyle I had been secretly funding for 4 years, and trigger the most comprehensive demonstration of property ownership authority that the Connecticut real estate community had ever witnessed. The afternoon started with my careful drive from the Thornfield and Associates office in Stamford back to the Greenwich home, including a brief stop to purchase fresh flowers for the dining room table and coordinate my arrival timing to accommodate the family's preferred weekend schedule that had become our tradition over the past several years. The drive from my property management office to Richard and Victoria's Greenwich home took exactly 34 minutes through the scenic Fairfield County neighborhoods whose zoning regulations and development protocols I had helped establish during my years coordinating regional property development. The beautiful early autumn weather and peaceful suburban streets provided the perfect backdrop for what I anticipated would be another pleasant family weekend filled with updates about the children's school activities, Richard's architectural projects, and Victoria's interior design developments at Ashford Interiors. My arrival at the Victorian mansion at 4:42 p.m. was precisely on schedule for the family dinner planning that Victoria had mentioned during our phone conversation the previous Wednesday, when she had confirmed our traditional weekend visit and mentioned that she was coordinating a special family meal featuring locally sourced ingredients from the Greenwich Farmers Market, a meal that had become one of our family's most anticipated weekend traditions and an opportunity for multi-generational connection and family relationship maintenance. As I approached the front entrance of the colonial home whose mortgage, property taxes, insurance premiums, and maintenance costs I had been coordinating through my property trust for 4 years, I could hear the sounds of family activity and weekend preparation that typically characterized our family gatherings. The general atmosphere of comfortable family life and the children's laughter in the background created the warm environment that had made these weekend visits such an important part of our family connection and my ongoing relationship with Richard's growing family. When I opened the front door using my house key at 4:44 p.m., carrying the fresh flower arrangement and looking forward to our family weekend together, I expected the usual warm greeting and immediate invitation to join the family activities that had characterized our weekend traditions for over 4 years. Instead, what I encountered would become the defining moment that revealed Victoria's true character and triggered the most expensive lesson about family respect and elderly appreciation that any interior design professional had ever received. Victoria appeared in the foyer with an expression of surprise and calculated presentation that immediately indicated something fundamental had changed in her approach to our family weekend traditions. Her professional attire and expensive designer outfit that suggested she had been working on client presentations earlier in the day contrasted with the typical comfortable family clothing that she usually wore during our relaxed weekend gatherings. The immediate tension in her demeanor and the conspicuous absence of the usual welcoming warmth suggested that my arrival was being perceived through a different lens than the traditional family visit that we had maintained for years. "Oh, Eleanor," Victoria said with the kind of professional enthusiasm that she typically reserved for client meetings and design showcase events rather than family interactions. "Perfect timing. I was hoping you'd get here before I had to leave for my design committee meeting. I have something exciting to show you that I think you're going to absolutely love. We've made some incredible improvements to the house that really optimize the space utilization and create so much more functionality for our growing family needs." The statement about incredible improvements in space utilization represented the first indication that Victoria had been making unilateral property decisions without family consultation, revealing her comfortable approach to family communication management that prioritized convenience and professional advancement over traditional family decision-making processes and elderly inclusion responsibilities. Her suggestion that the changes would create functionality for our growing family needs established the framework for systematic elderly marginalization that treated my accommodation requirements as obstacles to overcome rather than family obligations deserving respect and consideration. "That sounds wonderful, Victoria," I replied while maintaining the pleasant family tone that had always characterized our interactions and setting down the fresh flowers that I had brought for the week and gathering. "I'd love to see what improvements you've been working on. The house always looks beautiful, and I appreciate how much thought you put into creating a comfortable environment for everyone. What specific changes have you made that you're excited to show me?" The confident expression that crossed Victoria's face revealed her immediate anticipation of presenting what she considered a successful design solution that demonstrated her professional expertise and space planning capabilities. Her professional excitement about the improvements reflected the kind of strategic thinking that she applied to client projects, treating family space allocation as design problems requiring creative solutions and efficient resource utilization, rather than collaborative family decisions that required consultation and consideration of all family members' needs and preferences. "Well," Victoria announced with the kind of professional presentation enthusiasm that she employed during client reveal meetings when showcasing major design transformations, "we've completely transformed your little bedroom into the most amazing walk-in closet system that you've ever seen. It's absolutely gorgeous, Eleanor. We installed custom shelving, professional lighting, luxury storage solutions, and organization systems that create so much more functionality than that space was providing before. It's like having a boutique dressing room right in our master suite area." The phrase "transformed your little bedroom" represented the culmination of Victoria's systematic space appropriation strategy, revealing her fundamental approach to family property management that treated my personal accommodation as underutilized real estate requiring professional optimization rather than family living space deserving protection and respect. Her enthusiastic description of the custom installations demonstrated months of strategic planning and financial investment in permanent alterations that eliminated my bedroom accommodation, without consultation or consideration of alternative solutions. The casual language that Victoria used to describe my former bedroom as "your little bedroom" revealed her systematic diminishment of my space allocation, and her professional assessment of room utilization that prioritized storage, convenience over elderly accommodation. Her comfortable assumption that the conversion would be received as positive improvement rather than family space appropriation demonstrated her complete confidence in her ability to manage family relationships through professional presentation and strategic communication that minimized potential conflict while advancing her personal objectives. "I'm sorry, Victoria," I said while processing the reality that my daughter-in-law had systematically eliminated my bedroom accommodation in the very home whose ownership and financial stability I had been coordinating and protecting throughout their entire residence. "Are you telling me that you've converted my bedroom into a closet? Because that seems to be what you're suggesting, and I want to make sure I understand the situation correctly before I respond appropriately to this development." The moment of hesitation that followed my direct question revealed Victoria's immediate recognition that her enthusiastic presentation was being challenged by specific inquiry about family accommodation consequences. Her professional training in client relationship management had not prepared her for elderly relatives who possessed the analytical skills to expose the true implications of space appropriation strategies and family relationship optimization tactics that treated elderly needs as design obstacles requiring efficient resolution. "Well, Eleanor, let me show you what we've created." Victoria responded with the kind of damage control communication that she employed when client relationships required strategic clarification to prevent misunderstanding and project complications. "I think once you see how beautifully we've utilized the space, you'll understand why this was such a smart decision for our family's long-term space planning and household organization. The custom closet system is absolutely stunning, and it creates so much more storage functionality than a rarely used bedroom ever could provide." But the most devastating moment in our conversation came when Victoria delivered the specific explanation that would become the documented evidence of character priorities and family respect assessment that justified implementing the most comprehensive property ownership reconsideration in Connecticut real estate history. "The truth is, Eleanor," Victoria said with a confident dismissal that reflected months of strategic thinking about elderly accommodation management and family space optimization, "we converted your little room into my walk-in closet since you barely use it anyway. Our family needs require more practical space utilization, and we can't maintain guest accommodations that aren't being used efficiently when we have immediate storage and organization requirements that affect our daily living functionality and professional presentation needs." The phrase "since you barely use it anyway" represented the exact moment when Victoria's systematic elderly dismissal transformed from strategic family space management into documented evidence of character priorities that violated every provision of the Thornfield Family Property Trust's beneficiary conduct requirements and family respect standards. Her comfortable assertion that my bedroom accommodation wasn't being used efficiently revealed the complete extent of her elderly marginalization strategy and her fundamental disregard for traditional family values and elderly accommodation obligations. As I stood in the foyer of the home that I owned through my property trust, listening to my daughter-in-law explain why my bedroom had been converted into her personal closet space because I barely use it anyway, I experienced the devastating reality of elderly dismissal and family space appropriation that would justify implementing property ownership consequences and trust reconsideration protocols that would transform their comfortable assumptions about residential entitlement into the most expensive lesson about family respect and elderly appreciation that any interior design family had ever received. "I understand your position completely, Victoria," I replied with the kind of professional composure that I had developed during 47 years of managing property crises and trust administration. Halenges, thank you for clarifying your approach to family accommodation and elderly space allocation. I appreciate your honesty about the family priorities that guided this decision. And I'll make sure to adjust my planning and expectations accordingly going forward. The relief that appeared on Victoria's face revealed her comfortable assumption that elderly relatives would accept space appropriation and accommodation elimination without consequences or complications that might affect the family's lifestyle, arrangements, and property stability. Her professional confidence in her strategic communication had convinced her that elderly relationship management could be optimized through efficient conversation and expectation adjustment without considering the potential implications for continued trust support and property ownership benefits. I'm so glad you understand, Eleanor, Victoria continued with renewed enthusiasm about her design achievement. I was hoping you'd appreciate the creative solution we found for maximizing our space utilization. The professional photographer is coming next week to document the closet installation for my design portfolio, and I'm planning to feature it in my Greenwich home and garden tour presentation. It's going to be such a beautiful showcase of space optimization and luxury storage design. The revelation that Victoria planned to profit professionally from appropriating my bedroom space featuring the conversion in her design portfolio and Greenwich home and garden tour presentation represented the final evidence of character assessment that would determine her family's continued eligibility for property support and residential security. Her comfortable assumption that she could leverage family space appropriation for professional advancement revealed her systematic approach to elderly relationship management that treated family obligations as career opportunities rather than respect responsibilities. As I walked back to my car carrying the flower arrangement, that sounds wonderful, Victoria, I replied while maintaining the pleasant family tone that had always characterized our interactions and setting down the fresh flowers that I had brought for the week and gathering. I'd love to see what improvements you've been working on. The house always looks beautiful, and I appreciate how much thought you put into creating a comfortable environment for everyone. What specific changes have you made that you're excited to show me? The confident expression that crossed Victoria's face revealed the drive back to my Stamford apartment provided time to reflect on the 4 years of anonymous property support that had enabled Richard and Victoria's comfortable Greenwich lifestyle, and their systematic development of elderly exclusion strategies that treated traditional family values as optional obligations interfering with professional advancement and lifestyle optimization. The property infrastructure that had operated invisibly throughout their homeownership experience would soon become the most visible demonstration of ownership authority and family respect accountability that the Connecticut real estate community had ever witnessed. The evening of September 15th, as I sat in my modest apartment while Richard and Victoria enjoyed their optimized family space in the home whose ownership and financial coordination I controlled, I began accessing the comprehensive property management systems that would transform their comfortable assumptions about residential entitlement into the most expensive lesson about elderly respect and family appreciation that any interior design family had ever received. At 8:30 p.m., I initiated the first phase of what would become the most comprehensive beneficiary review in Connecticut property history by accessing the Thornfield Family Property Trust's secure database, e-systems, and implementing property ownership assessment status for Richard Thomas Thornfield's homeownership accounts. The administrative classification that I applied indicated potential beneficiary conduct violations requiring comprehensive character evaluation throughout the regional property management network. The beneficiary assessment protocols that I activated included comprehensive coordination that affected Richard's mortgage verification systems, property tax documentation, homeowners insurance records, and equity access eligibility that determined his continued property ownership and residential planning security. The systematic nature of the classification modifications ensured that every platform and system connected to his homeownership expectations experienced coordinated changes that created immediate complications for his residential planning and long-term consequences for his family's property security and lifestyle maintenance assumptions by 9:15 p.m. The first automated notifications had been generated by trust systems that detected beneficiary irregularities affecting Richard's property status and homeownership coordination assessment. The alert protocols that I had implemented included municipal notification requirements that triggered immediate evaluation of property distribution eligibility and residential coordination assessment that could affect his family's housing planning calculations and continued property access based on character evaluation standards and family respect verification protocols. The systematic trust actions that I implemented over the following 72 hours would transform Richard and Victoria's comfortable assumptions about property ownership and residential entitlements into the most comprehensive demonstration of ownership authority that the regional family property community had ever witnessed. The evidence that I had compiled included every instance of Victoria's systematic elderly dismissal, every space appropriation decision, and every strategic calculation to treat family respect as optional expenses interfering with professional objectives and lifestyle management requirements. The first immediate impact of my property modifications became apparent when Richard attempted to access their monthly property coordination system at 9:45 a.m. on September 18 and discovered that their residential accounts had been classified as under beneficiary review pending character assessment by the Connecticut Regional Property Authority. The panic that followed his discovery revealed the extent to which his family's residential stability and comfortable lifestyle depended on property distributions and trust coordination that he had never understood or appreciated during Victoria's systematic elderly dismissal and family space appropriation. The panicked phone call that I received came from Richard at 10:30 a.m. with obvious desperation and confusion about the administrative complications that were affecting his property access and family residential planning. "Mom, something terrible is happening with our property accounts and home ownership coordination," he announced with the kind of professional emergency language that revealed his immediate understanding of catastrophic residential implications. "Our property distributions have been suspended, and the municipal authority is requesting documentation about beneficiary conduct evaluation and family respect verification." The conversation that followed revealed Richard's sudden recognition that the elderly mother he had allowed Victoria to systematically dismiss from family space allocation might possess administrative capabilities and property authority that could affect his residential eligibility and housing security in ways he had never imagined or prepared for during months of strategic family relationship management and professional career development consultation. The Fairfield County Property Authority is requesting immediate documentation about our homeownership status and character assessment verification. Richard continued with growing panic about the implications for his family's residential security and property stability planning. "This is affecting our property standing and potentially compromising our equity access with programs that require verified ownership backing and accurate residential positioning." But perhaps the most devastating immediate impact was the effect on Richard and Victoria's residential planning and property advancement negotiations that required verified ownership backing and accurate homeownership positioning to maintain their comfortable lifestyle and premium neighborhood access. The equity applications that they had been pursuing based on their guaranteed property value became impossible to complete when municipal institutions discovered that their primary residential backing no longer qualified for verified homeownership status or exclusive property coordination. The prestigious neighborhood status that Richard and Victoria had been maintaining in Greenwich required verified property backing and accurate residential positioning that distinguished authentic homeownership from temporary arrangements and questionable ownership management that didn't reflect genuine residential stability and community credibility. The property classification complications that I had implemented triggered immediate residential review and potential status suspension that could affect their annual lifestyle projections and community standing advancement. By the end of the first week, the comprehensive nature of Richard and Victoria's property classification complications had generated legal consultation fees exceeding $38,000. Administrative documentation requirements that consumed over 80 hours of their professional time. And residential standing complications that required extensive verification procedures and potential lifestyle restructuring based on homeownership status uncertainty. And trust administration challenges. The second week brought expanded consequences as automated systems continued detecting classification irregularities that affected their property planning applications. Residential community standing verification and professional background checks that required verified homeownership for continued neighborhood participation and community membership eligibility. The systematic nature of the classification modifications created cascading effects throughout their personal and professional lives that required extensive time investment and legal consultation to understand and address through proper administrative channels. Victoria's position within the Greenwich Home and Garden Tour came under immediate review when professional background verification systems detected property classification irregularities and residential standing complications that raised questions about her professional reliability and project credibility. The professional consequences that followed included delayed tour participation, reduced showcase responsibility, and committee discussions about designer qualification standards that required clean property records and verified residential stability for continued program eligibility and advancement opportunities. Richard's professional standing at Hartford Design Associates faced similar scrutiny when firm administration discovered that his residential backing and property ownership status no longer met the verified homeownership requirements for senior architect positions and client relationship management responsibilities. The systematic loss of professional credibility and residential verification created career pressure that affected his ability to maintain his architectural trajectory and continue his advancement in sustainable design specialization. During the third week of property classification consequences, Victoria's desperation reached a critical point that would transform this story from simple property administration into a profound lesson about family values and character accountability. The comfortable lifestyle that she had built through systematic professional advancement and strategic family relationship optimization was crumbling under the weight of trust review protocols that measured not only residential competence but also character integrity and family values. But the most shocking revelation came on October 8, when Victoria discovered the true ownership structure of their Greenwich home through legal documentation required for the property status verification process. The municipal records that her attorney obtained revealed that the Victorian mansion where they had lived for 4 years was owned by Thornfield Holdings LLC, with Eleanor Catherine Thornfield listed as the primary managing member and decision-making authority for all property-related matters. The moment of recognition that Victoria experienced when she realized that the elderly woman whose bedroom she had converted into a closet was actually the legal owner of their home represented the most devastating character assessment revelation in Connecticut real estate history. Her systematic elderly dismissal and family space appropriation hadn't just violated family respect obligations, they had been directed toward the very person whose property ownership authority determined her family's continued residential security and lifestyle maintenance. When Victoria called me on October 10 with genuine terror in her voice and desperate confusion about the property ownership revelations affecting her family's residential security, something remarkable began to happen that would transform this story from simple property administration into a profound lesson about family values and elderly respect. The confident interior designer who had dismissed me as an accommodation obstacle had been replaced by a young woman who finally understood the connection between family respect and residential privilege, between elderly wisdom and property ownership opportunity. Eleanor, I think I've made the most terrible mistake of my life. But the most shocking revelation came on October 8. When Victoria discovered the true ownership structure of their Greenwich home through legal documentation required for the property status verification process, the municipal records that her attorney obtained revealed that the Victorian mansion where they had lived for 4 years was owned by Thornfield Holdings LLC, with Eleanor Catherine Thornfield listed as the primary managing member and decision-making authority for all property-related matters. The moment of recognition that Victoria experienced when she realized that the elderly woman whose bedroom she had converted into a closet was actually the legal owner of their home represented the most devastating character assessment revelation in Connecticut real estate history. Her systematic elderly dismissal and family space appropriation hadn't just violated family respect obligations, they had been directed toward the very person whose property ownership authority determined her family's continued residential security and lifestyle maintenance. When Victoria called me on October 10th with genuine terror in her voice and desperate confusion about the property ownership revelations affecting her family's residential security, something remarkable began to happen that would transform this story from simple property administration into a profound lesson about family values and elderly respect. The confident interior designer who had dismissed me as an accommodation obstacle had been replaced by a young woman who finally understood the connection between family respect and residential privilege, between elderly wisdom and property ownership opportunity. "Eleanor, I think I've made the most terrible mistake of my life," Victoria said during our emotional conversation that would mark the beginning of her character transformation. "I was so focused on optimizing our family space and advancing my career that I completely lost sight of what really matters: respect for elderly relatives, appreciation for family traditions, and understanding that professional success means nothing if you achieve it by excluding and dismissing the people who support and care about your family's well-being." The genuine remorse that Victoria expressed during our conversation represented the first authentic character development that she had demonstrated since establishing her systematic approach to elderly relationship management. Her recognition that professional optimization without family respect was meaningless success revealed the kind of character growth that distinguished deserving residential support from permanent property privilege suspension. But rather than simply resuming their property coordination and allowing them to continue their homeownership without consequences, I proposed something that would serve both character development and community benefit while creating opportunities for authentic family healing and meaningful residential responsibility. The alternative that I developed would become the most innovative family intervention in property history and the foundation for Victoria's transformation from systematic elderly dismissal to authentic family engagement and community service. Instead of permanently suspending Richard and Victoria's property distributions, I created the Elderly Housing Dignity Program that would operate for 18 months, providing residential coordination and housing advocacy for low-income seniors, while requiring Victoria's direct participation in elderly housing services under my supervision as program coordinator. The program would serve over 120 elderly community members during its operation while creating opportunities for Victoria to learn about family responsibility and elderly appreciation that distinguished meaningful community contribution from superficial professional advancement. The Elderly Housing Dignity Program that we developed would require Victoria to work alongside experienced housing specialists, community development workers, and elderly service professionals who understood the value of traditional wisdom and generational respect while providing essential residential services to underserved elderly populations throughout Fairfield County and the greater Connecticut region. The program would combine Victoria's interior design expertise with community housing education that served both individual elderly needs and broader housing advocacy. But perhaps the most significant aspect of the program was the requirement that Victoria work directly under my supervision as program coordinator, learning about property administration and family trust management that would provide her with genuine understanding of the ownership infrastructure that had been supporting her comfortable lifestyle throughout her systematic assumption that homeownership was self-funded rather than earned through character development and elderly respect. The transformation that began during the first month of the Elderly Housing Dignity Program exceeded even my own expectations for what community service could accomplish when combined with character, accountability, and elderly recognition. Victoria's initial reluctance to participate in hands-on elderly housing work gradually evolved into genuine appreciation for the seniors we served and understanding of the administrative expertise required for effective property coordination and family trust management. The elderly community members who worked alongside Victoria in the Elderly Housing Dignity Program included retired teachers, former social workers, experienced community administrators, and housing advocates whose lifetime of service and professional expertise provided daily examples of the elderly wisdom and community contribution that Victoria had dismissed during her systematic family relationship restructuring and professional career optimization strategies. Mrs. Helen Rodriguez, a 91-year-old retired housing coordinator who had spent 58 years providing residential support to Connecticut's underserved communities, became particularly influential in helping Victoria understand the connection between family respect and community responsibility. "Young lady," she told Victoria during their 8th week of working together, "I've seen thousands of families over the years. And I can tell you that the most successful communities always start with families that understand how to honor their elderly members and learn from generational wisdom rather than dismissing us as obstacles to overcome." The housing service training that Victoria received alongside 86-year-old retired property manager George Patterson, who had operated Connecticut's most respected affordable housing programs for 38 years before retirement, provided daily demonstrations of how professional expertise and elderly experience could combine to create community impact that exceeded anything achievable through individual advancement or professional optimization. Mr. Patterson's traditional community principles and family engagement values challenged Victoria's assumptions about professional success and personal satisfaction in ways that interior design training had never provided. The elderly service responsibilities that Victoria assumed under my supervision in coordinating community outreach, housing advocacy, and service distribution provided her with genuine understanding of property expertise and the administrative complexity required for effective ownership coordination. Her work developing housing materials for the Elderly Housing Dignity Program, when focused on community benefit rather than professional positioning, revealed her capacity for meaningful community contribution and authentic family engagement. The 18 months of Elderly Housing Dignity Program operation Victoria's approach to professional development evolved to include nonprofit housing coordination and community advocacy initiatives that leveraged her design expertise for elderly benefit and family service support. Her work developing design strategies for housing organizations and senior advocacy groups provided career advancement opportunities while creating authentic community impact and family pride that exceeded anything she had achieved through systematic elderly dismissal and career optimization. The modest home in Stamford where Richard and Victoria moved during their community service period, costing $3,200 monthly and providing comfortable family living without luxury presentation requirements, became the foundation for authentic family relationships and community engagement rather than systematic professional career development and elderly relationship management. The simple furnishings and traditional family activities that characterized their transformed lifestyle reflected genuine values and priorities that distinguished lasting happiness from temporary professional positioning and systematic family disrespect. 3 years later, Victoria's transformation had become a model for family-based community service throughout Connecticut, with her story featured in community development publications and property administration journals. As an example of how ownership intervention could create family healing and authentic elderly appreciation, her work coordinating the annual Connecticut Family Housing Responsibility Network, which operated in 27 communities throughout the state, provided ongoing opportunities for meaningful contribution while maintaining the family relationships and elderly respect that she had learned through her housing service experience. The beautiful home in Westport where Richard, Victoria, and their children now lived. Purchased through their own legitimate financing after demonstrating sustained character development and family raise. PACT provided comfortable family living, while supporting their elderly advocacy work and maintaining proximity to the senior community members and family relatives whose wisdom and support had created the foundation for their transformation. The elegant but modest home that served as both family residence and occasional community meeting venue reflected their understanding that true satisfaction came from authentic relationships and community contribution rather than competitive professional positioning and systematic elderly dismissal. Victoria's current position as Community Housing Advocacy Director at Fairfield County Social Services, earning $84,000 annually while coordinating elderly housing programs and family community education throughout the region, provided meaningful, professional work that honored both her design expertise and her commitment to community service and family values. Her work developing housing advocacy programs and accessible community services throughout Connecticut created genuine impact while maintaining the family relationships and elderly respect that distinguished authentic success from superficial professional advancement. The Thornfield Family Property Trust Scholarship that I re-established for Richard and Victoria after their successful completion of the Elderly Housing Dignity Program was restructured to include ongoing community service requirements and annual character assessments that ensured continued family respect and elderly appreciation. The modified trust structure required quarterly volunteer coordination with elderly community members and annual family loyalty verification that distinguished deserving property recipients from those who might revert to systematic elderly dismissal and professional career optimization. Thinking, as I write this final chapter from my beautiful waterfront home in Darien, Connecticut, purchased with proceeds from my property consultation work and serving as both family residence and community coordination center, I'm surrounded by family photographs that document our journey toward authentic relationships and mutual respect, professional commendations that honor my career achievements, and community recognition that celebrates the Elderly Housing Dignity Program's ongoing impact throughout the Connecticut region. The daughter-in-law who told me my bedroom could be converted into her closet since you barely use it anyway discovered that respect for elderly relatives is an optional accommodation. It's the foundation for property eligibility and ownership coordination that determines whether families build meaningful legacies or destroy opportunities through systematic dismissal of generational wisdom and traditional values that created every residential advantage they considered evidence of individual achievement and personal success. The bedroom that had been converted into a luxury closet became the foundation for a community housing program that served hundreds of elderly residents. While teaching Victoria about the critical importance of elderly respect and family loyalty, the systematic professional career development strategy that had been used to appropriate elderly living space was transformed into community service that demonstrated how property administration and family healing could create opportunities for authentic contribution and meaningful personal satisfaction. But perhaps the most important legacy of this experience has been the broader recognition throughout the Connecticut Community Development Network that elderly expertise and traditional family values provide the foundation for sustainable community service and meaningful residential relationships. The hundreds of families who have participated in elderly housing dignity programs understand that respecting elderly relatives and maintaining family loyalty creates opportunities for authentic community engagement and lasting personal satisfaction. My property consultation work continues expanding throughout New England, with community development administrators in 8 states implementing our family-based housing models that honor both resident DIL responsibility and intergenerational respect. The regional recognition of our approach to elderly inclusion and family-centered community service has created opportunities for meaningful contribution to housing advocacy throughout the Northeast. The Thornfield Institute for Property Excellence, has established the Victoria Marie Ashford Thornfield Fellowship for Family-Based Community Practice, providing annual support for community development professionals who demonstrate both housing competence and commitment to elderly respect and family engagement in their advocacy work. The fellowship program ensures that future community professionals understand the importance of intergenerational collaboration and family values in creating sustainable community impact and authentic housing advocacy. Remember, property ownership and residential coordination aren't guaranteed family privileges. They're earned recognition of demonstrated character and elderly respect that creates foundation for housing credibility and authentic community contribution. The bedroom that disappeared from personal accommodation and became community service requirements taught Victoria about the true meaning of property administration and the critical importance of honoring the elderly wisdom that distinguished lasting residential responsibility from superficial lifestyle presentation and systematic family dismissal. The property empire that had operated invisibly throughout Victoria's comfortable assumptions became the visible foundation for her transformation into an authentic community professional who understood that true housing success comes from serving others while respecting the elderly relatives whose wisdom and expertise created opportunities for meaningful contribution rather than competitive professional training and systematic generational dismissal that prioritized career management over authentic relationships and community values. Sometimes the most valuable lesson you can teach ungrateful family members is that residential privilege isn't automatic entitlement. It's earned recognition that continues only when families demonstrate appropriate respect for elderly wisdom and traditional values that create the foundation for authentic community service and meaningful property administration. The ownership coordination that had protected Victoria's comfortable lifestyle became the foundation for her transformation into a community servant who understood that true success comes from serving others while honoring the elderly relatives whose lifetime of expertise and service created every opportunity for authentic contribution and family legacy development. The property funding that served systematic elderly dismissal became the heart of a community program that coordinated housing for hundreds while teaching the most important lesson of all. Respect for elderly relatives isn't just family courtesy, it's the foundation for ownership eligibility and authentic community contribution that distinguishes meaningful service from superficial career presentation and systematic dismissal of the generational wisdom that creates opportunities for lasting impact and authentic personal satisfaction and service to others. The closet that Victoria created from my bedroom space now serves as a storage area for community service supplies and elderly advocacy materials in their Westport home. A daily reminder of how professional success without family respect leads to the most expensive lessons about character, community, and the true meaning of home ownership that extends far beyond property deeds and mortgage payments to encompass the wisdom, relationships, and values that make a house into a true family legacy worthy of preservation and respect.